There are a handful of decisions I regret instantly: that one tequila shot in Prague, getting bangs at 16, agreeing to organize the office Secret Santa. And now, giving my mom my old phone. In theory, it was a practical gesture. I'd just upgraded. She still had an ancient flip phone that lit up like a radioactive brick. She didn't ask for a new one, she never does, but when she mentioned how her keypad was sticking, I said, "Just take mine." I already wiped it. I had not wiped it. I thought I did. I meant to. But there's a difference between deleting a few apps and performing an actual factory reset. Apparently, I just logged out of Instagram and called it a day. This would have been fine if I were a boring person. But I am not a boring person. I am, in fact, a person with a life. A personal, semi-private, sometimes spicy, very documented life. And it turns out, gallery does not log out when you do. I didn't realize this until 3 days later, sitting across from my mother at a midweek dinner, watching her stir her soup like it owed her money, her lips pressed thin. "So," she said, without looking up, "I see you've been traveling." My stomach dropped. Traveling. She didn't mean the vacation with my sister to Lisbon. She meant the folder named Rome, Night 2 Wineglass, which definitely did not include the Colosseum. I laughed too loudly. Yeah. I mean. That was, ages ago. She finally looked up. Her eyes were unreadable, the way they get when she's building a case in her head. "I didn't realize you kept so many memories," she said. I nearly choked on my water. Look, it's not like I'm some kind of online thirst trap. But I had been in a relationship last year, one that burned bright, burned weird, and burned out. We shared a lot. Emotionally. And yes, sometimes photographically. There were selfies. Notes. A video I refused to name. I forgot they were there. My mom didn't. I gave it back, she added, spoon tapping gently. It's in the drawer by the sink. I wanted to disappear. Actually disappear. Like dissolve into my chair and reappear in a life where I had, at minimum, the foresight of a sock puppet. But all I said was, "Thanks." She nodded. Stirred again. The air felt thick with unspoken things: shame, curiosity, judgment, maybe even disappointment. But neither of us said anything more. The conversation turned to the lentils. Lentils. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just met an entire version of her child she'd never seen before, in 1080p in bad lighting. That night, I lay in bed, replaying the interaction. I thought about what she must have seen. Which pictures? Which texts? Did she watch the video? Did she read the thread titled "You're the Only Home I Know"? My heart twisted. There are things you expect to reveal to your parents slowly, gently, if ever. And then there's being accidentally unzipped to the waist and handed to them in a neatly organized photo folder. I buried my face in my pillow. Because she hadn't yelled. She hadn't cried. She'd just gone quiet. And somehow, that scared me more than any screaming could. For 3 days, I avoided the drawer by the sink like it was cursed. It just sat there, slightly ajar, humming with silent shame. Every time I passed it to refill water, grab a napkin, wipe a non-existent crumb, it pulled at me, like a dare I wasn't ready to face. The phone was in there. Waiting. Innocent, but not innocent. A little black box holding the wreckage of my impulsive generosity and complete lack of digital hygiene. I imagined my mom pulling it out that first night, curious. Maybe trying to download a photo of the cat, or look up the weather, or, God forbid, set up WhatsApp. Instead, she found me. All of me. The version she never asked for. I wasn't raised in a house where emotions were worn out loud. We did silent dinners, praise wrapped in critique, and love through well-packed leftovers. Vulnerability wasn't so much discouraged as invisible. So the fact that she hadn't said much meant something enormous. What, exactly, I didn't know yet. On the 4th day, I opened the drawer. There it was. Screen down, like it was ashamed too. I picked it up. Still charged. Still warm from my own hand, somehow. I tapped it awake. The wallpaper was a picture of my mom's garden, zinnias and overgrown tomatoes. She must have changed it. A reclamation. I clicked into the gallery. Gone. All of it. My photos. My videos. My folder labeled "Don't touch if you're not me." Empty. Just her new ones, the cat sleeping, a blurry sunset, a recipe screenshot of lentil stew. She had wiped me clean. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. That weekend, I went to dinner at my parents' house again. Clara was there this time, my sister. Older by 3 years, infinitely better at life. She works in publishing, wears neutral tones like it's a mission, and somehow always smells like cedar and quiet confidence. We hugged. I asked how her week was. She said hectic, like she always does, which probably means incredible and controlled. I told her mine was fine. I lied. Mom served soup again. And again, no one said anything. No flicker. No joke. No passive-aggressive reference to traveling. Just sips and the occasional clink of spoon against bowl. Halfway through the meal, Clara turned to me. "So," she said lightly, "I heard you had a bit of a tech mix-up." I dropped my spoon. Mom didn't react. She kept sipping. I looked at Clara. Her mouth twitched like she was fighting a smirk. "I didn't tell her anything," Mom said. "Calm. Steady." She saw the phone and asked why it was in the drawer. "Wasn't prying," Clara added. "Just curious." "I don't want to talk about it," I said quickly, heart hammering. "Okay," Clara said. And that was that. Or it should have been. But later, when we were loading the dishwasher, Clara bumped her shoulder into mine and whispered, "Just so you know, Mom doesn't think less of you." I blinked. "How do you know that?" "She made lentil stew twice this week. That's her way of processing love. Or discomfort. Sometimes both." I laughed, too loud. Too grateful. "She okay?" I asked. Clara shrugged. "She's fine. But I think she's wondering if you're okay." That stopped me. Was I? That night, I sat on my couch in the dark, phone in hand. The new one. The one that hadn't ruined my life. I opened notes. Typed. Sometimes the silence after something big is louder than any fight could be. I'm not embarrassed by what she saw. I'm embarrassed by how much I care that she saw it. I wish I knew how to tell her that. Without using words. I stared at the screen. Then I deleted all 3. The next day, I texted Mom. "Hey. Thanks again for dinner. And for taking the phone. Sorry about all of it." She replied 5 minutes later. "You don't have to say sorry. I know you're an adult. I just didn't expect to meet that part of you like that." Then another message. "Next time, give me the instructions with the phone." And finally, "I made lemon cake. Want to come by tomorrow?" I stared at the screen, tears welling. She wasn't asking me to explain. She was asking me to come home. The thing about my mom's lemon cake is, it's weaponized comfort. It's soft and dense in the way that feels safe. Tart in a way that reminds you someone still has taste. Warm, even when she doesn't microwave it. She only makes it for birthdays, funerals, and emotional crises she refuses to acknowledge. So when I saw the cake on the counter the next day, I knew 2 things. 1, she was trying. 2, she was scared. I didn't know of what. Of me? Of what she saw. Of what she didn't see but suspected? The kitchen smelled like sugar and unsaid things. "Want tea?" she asked, already filling the kettle. "Sure." I sat down. We didn't talk for a while. The clock ticked. The kettle hissed. A breeze pushed through the cracked window above the sink. I got an email from your aunt, she said finally. Oh? She's planning a family brunch. Wants to know if you'll come. Family brunch. Translation: emotionally charged potluck with side dishes of gossip. Is everyone going? Your cousins. Your sister. Even Dad said maybe. I'll think about it. You haven't been to one in a while. That wasn't a question, but it had question marks all over it. I know. She placed a cup in front of me. Chamomile. Of course. Then she cut the cake. We ate. She said, I never thought I'd be the kind of mom who finds out who her kid really is through accident. I looked up. I mean, she added quickly, not like it's bad. Just jarring. I nodded. Yeah. For me too. She sipped. I thought I knew you. And I do. But now I also know other parts. And I guess I'm trying to understand where they fit. I swallowed. They don't really fit anywhere yet. I'm figuring that out too. I just want to be part of that process. If you'll let me. I stared at the crumbs on my plate. My heart was in my throat. You don't have to be okay with all of it, I said. But I do want you to know the whole me. We sat in that. In the weight of that sentence. Then she reached over, placed her hand over mine. I'm still your mom, she said. Just learning how to be your mom now. Later that night, Clara called. Did you go? To Mom's? Yeah. She serve lemon cake? Yup. So it's serious. I told her about the conversation. The brunch invite. The hand on mine. She's trying, Clara said. You both are. Do you think she saw everything? Probably. But also maybe not. I think she saw what scared her, and then she stopped. That's Mom. I sighed. I hate that it happened this way. Clara paused. I know. But maybe this way made it impossible to pretend. There was something brutal and freeing in that. The next day, I went for a walk. It was sunny but cold. A weird in-between kind of weather, like the world couldn't decide who to be. I sat on a park bench and pulled out my phone. Not the old one, the new one. The safe one. I opened my notes app. Typed. Sometimes the only way to be seen is to be exposed. It's not fair. But it's honest. I wish I'd told her. But I think I never would have. That's the truth I have to sit with. The person I am and the person she thought I was don't have to be enemies. But they might take a while to be friends. I saved the note. Put the phone away. Watched a kid fall off a scooter, then get up laughing. I wondered if maybe all healing looks a little bit like that. I agreed to go. To brunch. With the whole family. To the kind of thing that comes with obligatory fruit platters, fold-out chairs that always wobble, and a dozen opportunities for your relatives to corner you with loaded questions disguised as small talk. Mom was so thrilled she didn't even try to hide it. She texted me twice the day before, once to confirm what I was wearing, as if that would somehow reflect on her parenting, and once to remind me to bring something nice. I brought a store-bought quiche. Because nothing says, I have my life together like a pastry with spinach in it and a fancy label from the co-op. The brunch was at Aunt Lila's. She has the biggest house and the most aggressively neutral living room I've ever seen, all grayish tones and art that looks expensive but says nothing. When I walked in, half the family was already there. The other half was late, as usual. Clara waved me over from the corner where she was pretending to be busy with bagels. You survived the lemon cake summit, she murmured. Barely. She still hasn't said anything to me. She probably won't. Clara looked at me. You doing okay? I shrugged. I'm in a weird emotional limbo. Somewhere between exposed and relieved. That sounds about right. Then the first question hit. It came from cousin Ruben, who never quite got the memo that his tech bro energy doesn't translate to casual family events. So, he said, loud enough for several heads to turn. I heard you had a bit of a phone incident? I froze, mid-bagel. Clara stepped in. Ruben, not everyone wants to hear your cybersecurity takes over lox and cream cheese. But it was too late. A few people chuckled. Someone whispered. And I saw it, that flicker across my mom's face. Embarrassment? Guilt? Uncertainty? I was about to snap back when Aunt Lila, ever the peacekeeper, changed the subject to wedding venues. Apparently, her youngest was engaged now. The brunch moved on. Kids ran in and out of rooms. Dads talked about interest rates. People commented on the weather like it was a personality. And then came the question. From Grandma. She turned to me, sweetly, like she was asking about my favorite tea. So, darling, she said. Are you seeing anyone? I blinked. Chewed. Swallowed slowly. I said. Not anymore. Oh, shame, she said, already moving on. You're a catch. Don't let it all go to waste. Mom's eyes flicked toward me, unreadable. And for a second, I wanted to say it all. About who I dated. About what Mom saw. About the photos, the moments, the life I'd lived quietly. I wanted to say it not because I owed them, but because I was tired of carrying silence like armor. But I didn't. Because brunch isn't built for truth. It's built for appearances. So I smiled. Ate another bite. Let it pass. Afterward, I found Mom in the kitchen, rinsing dishes no one had asked her to wash. Hey, I said. She didn't look up. Hey. Thanks for handling everything. She glanced at me. It wasn't mine to handle. But thank you. I wanted to ask her if she was okay. If she was still thinking about it. But I didn't. Because she already knew I was. And that was enough. We stood there a moment, just two people who didn't know what to say, but stayed anyway. Then she said, You want to take some lemon cake home? I smiled. Yeah. I do. That night, I sat with the cake and a notebook. I wrote. Families are made of mismatched truths, held together by things like cake and casseroles and loaded questions. Sometimes, the only way forward is through a room full of people who think they know you. And sometimes, the bravest thing you do is stay seated. I closed the notebook. Ate a piece of lemon cake. And for the first time in a while, didn't feel like a secret. I said yes to the brunch. Not because I wanted to, necessarily. But because when you're trying to mend things, with yourself, with your family, with the version of you they never knew you show up. Even when your whole body is screaming for the comfort of staying home in a hoodie. Aunt Lydia hosted, like always. Her house smelled like lemon pledge and salmon quiche. I arrived with a store-bought salad that cost too much and looked too sad. Clara rolled her eyes when she saw it. You couldn't at least fake a homemade dressing? I brought presents. That's my dish. Touché. The cousins were already there, Max and Julian and the twins. Max's new girlfriend was there too, which was shocking because she seemed normal. Like, reads novels for fun and doesn't vape normal. Everyone hugged me. A little too hard. A little too long. Then came the question. So, what have you been up to? Lydia asked, too brightly. Work. Trying to be a functioning adult. You know. Hear that, she said, though I was pretty sure she didn't. The meal itself was fine. Deviled eggs. Baked pasta. Endless refills of sparkling water. Small talk like a tightrope, weather, taxes, someone's dog's kidney stones. I stayed quiet. Not withdrawn, just measured. Then Julian said, So, Mom told me you had a tech scare. Everything stopped. Clara kicked him under the table. What? He said, grinning. I'm just saying, we've all got stuff we don't want our parents to see. Like what? Max asked, intrigued. Like your burner TikTok account, Clara muttered. Max choked on his mimosa. The table laughed, and the moment passed, or so I thought. Lydia leaned in later, while stacking dessert plates. I hope you know we love you, no matter what's on a phone. I froze. Even if it's a little, much, she added. There it was. The subtle disapproval wrapped in sugar. Like a hard candy that tastes sweet until your teeth crack on the center. I'm not ashamed of who I am, I said. Come. Even. She smiled like she just heard me say pass the pie. Of course not, sweetheart. And walked away. I found Mom alone in the garden afterward. She was pulling at weeds that looked like they'd given up trying to grow. You okay? She asked. Lydia's always been like that, huh? She didn't look up. She means well. That's never meant much to me. She stopped then. Wiped her hands. Faced me. You don't have to prove anything to them. Or me. I know. You just have to live in a way you can stand by. And from what I can see, you're trying. That counts. It did count. It really did. On the way home, Clara drove. We didn't talk for 10 minutes. Then. Proud of you. For what? For not imploding at the table. I smiled. I wanted to. I know. You held your tongue. Growth. I looked out the window. Thought about all the versions of me that had existed. The scared one. The performative one. The one that disappeared into politeness. I think I'm tired of hiding, I said. She nodded. It's exhausting. And overrated. We drove in silence again. But it felt like peace. That night, I journaled. Family doesn't always understand you. But sometimes they witness you, and that's enough to keep going. I am not a mistake. I'm just unfolding. Maybe forgiveness isn't about forgetting. Maybe it's about staying anyway. I went to bed with a quiet heart. Still hurt. Still unsure. But not alone. The Monday after brunch felt strangely clean. I woke up before my alarm, drank coffee without checking my phone, and made my bed a rare, almost meditative act. Small, deliberate choices that didn't shout healing, but maybe whispered it. The air still carried tension, like my body hadn't quite gotten the memo that the worst was over, but there was more space now. Between breaths. Between thoughts. I texted Mom in the afternoon. Thanks again for the cake. And everything. She replied 2 minutes later. I'm learning too. Thank you for not shutting me out. Work was uneventful, which felt like a gift. No Slack messages from hell. No emails with vague subject lines like quick chat or touch base. Just the quiet, predictable rhythm of clicking, replying, deleting. At lunch, Devon plopped into the seat across from me. You look different, he said. I showered. No, like, you're standing straighter. Less haunted. I smirked. Thanks, I think. You talked to your mom yet? I raised an eyebrow. How do you know about that? You looked like someone who accidentally sent his soul via Google Drive. Figured it was family. I laughed. Yeah. She saw some things. Regret? Complicated acceptance. Devon nodded. That's basically the theme of adulthood. That night, I called my dad. We're not close, not really. Not in the talk on the phone for fun kind of way. But something about the quiet progress with Mom made me want to try. Just a little. He answered on the third ring. Hey, kiddo. Hey. We talked about nothing for 5 minutes. The weather. A baseball game he barely watched. Then. I heard about the phone, he said. I swallowed. Yeah. I won't ask. But your mom was surprised. Not upset, really. Just surprised. That's fair. She said you handled it well. That stunned me more than it should have. I'm trying, I said. I know. We all are. No one gets handed a manual for this stuff. Yeah. I'm proud of you. I went silent. Blinked. You don't say that often, I said. I should. I'll try to. We ended the call with a clumsy, honest goodbye. The next day, I met Clara for coffee. You actually look good, she said. Gee, thanks. No, I mean it. Like you've stopped holding your breath. I nodded. I have, I think. Therapy helping? I haven't gone in weeks. She raised an eyebrow. I mean, I probably should. But this mess kind of forced its own version of it. She sipped her chai. Unintentional breakthroughs. My favorite genre. We talked about nothing for a while. Then she said. Just don't close the door again, okay? Even if things get weird. Especially then. I nodded. Deal. That night, I opened the photo gallery on my new phone. It was mostly benign, sunsets, groceries I forgot to buy, memes Devin sent me. But I scrolled back to some older ones. The ones I'd rescued from the old phone. The ones I hadn't deleted. A picture of me and her, the ex, taken in warm light, laughing. A screenshot of a text, I like the way you see the world, even when you don't like yourself. And one mirror photo. Me. Looking unsure, but real. I saved that one to my favorites. Then I opened notes. You can't undo the past. But you can fold it. Tuck it into your pocket. Let it soften with time. Being known is terrifying. But it's also the first step to being loved without illusion. I thought losing privacy meant losing dignity. But maybe it just revealed the part of me that was waiting to be invited into the light. I sat with those words. And for once, I didn't need to edit them. A few days passed quietly. I answered emails. Folded laundry. Took walks with no destination and no headphones, just the ambient hum of a city that didn't care who I was or what I'd done. And that, somehow, made it easier to care about myself. I didn't talk to Mom for 3 days, and not because we were avoiding each other. There was nothing frozen between us anymore, just a pause, a natural rhythm returning. That was new. I didn't feel like I had to perform politeness or overcorrect my silence with forced updates. When she did text, it was just a photo, the cat curled up in the window. Captioned, "Somebody's enjoying the light." I replied with a heart. That was it. It felt like peace. That weekend, I invited Clara and Mom over for lunch. My idea. My initiative. Clara arrived first. She looked around my apartment and whistled. You cleaned. I even used the fancy sponge. You are healing. We set the table. Mom arrived 15 minutes later, holding a Tupperware of soup and a plastic bag with 2 lemons in it. You said we were having pasta. Lemons go with pasta. I didn't argue. Just smiled. Thanks. We ate slowly. The sun came in through the windows at just the right angle, as if it knew something tender was happening. Conversation stayed light at first. TV shows. A new neighbor Clara found suspicious. Mom's eternal war with the basil plant. Then, somewhere between the salad and the leftover banana bread, Mom said. I've been thinking a lot about that week. Everything went still. Not tense. Just quieter. I keep asking myself, she continued, why it shook me so much. And I think part of it is that I've always tried to protect you from certain things. And it never occurred to me that maybe you didn't want that anymore. I stared at her. Clara put down her fork. It wasn't what I saw, Mom said. It was what had made me realize that you've lived whole parts of your life I haven't been part of. And that's okay. But it's hard. I nodded. My throat tightened. I think, I said slowly, I kept a lot from you because I was scared you'd reject it. Not yell. Just, shift. And I wouldn't know how to unshift you. She looked at me. Her eyes were soft but clear. I might not understand everything. But I won't shift away. I promise. Clara reached out and squeezed my hand under the table. The soup got cold. No one noticed. After they left, I sat on the couch alone. The apartment felt full, even empty. I opened my phone. Scrolled to the folder marked then. I created a new one, now. It didn't have much in it yet. Just a selfie I took the day before, no filter, messy hair, eyes open. And a screenshot of Mom's text from earlier in the week, somebody's enjoying the light. I added a note. I think I am too. Later that night, Devon texted me. You alive? Barely. Emotionally well-adjusted people are exhausting. Come out tomorrow. We're doing karaoke. You can sing your feelings. I can't sing. Perfect. That's the point. I stared at the screen. Then I said yes. Not because I needed distraction. But because I wanted to celebrate. Because sometimes healing isn't quiet. Sometimes it sounds like bad 90s ballads at 1 a.m. The next evening, I stood in front of a bar whose neon sign flickered like it was having second thoughts about being open. Inside, Devon waved from a booth where he was already surrounded by half a pitcher of beer, two of our co-workers, and a guy I vaguely remembered as that friend who always borrows your charger and never returns it. Welcome to emotional catharsis through 90s pop. Devon announced. I sat down. I'm not singing. You're absolutely singing. And somehow, by the time my beer glass was half empty, I was. I picked a song I thought would be harmless, I want it that way. Safe. Nostalgic. Lyrically non-threatening. Turns out, singing a Backstreet Boys song in front of people who know your Slack handle feels more vulnerable than therapy. But it was also fun. Messy. Off-key. The kind of fun I hadn't let myself have in a long time. The kind that doesn't check its reflection afterward. When I finished, people clapped. Whether out of politeness or pity, I didn't care. I felt light. Lighter than I had in weeks. Devon patted my back. You have the voice of a dying swan. Beautiful. Tragic. Memorable. Thanks, I guess. He handed me another drink. To your glow-up, he said. Seriously. You've been different lately. I hesitated. In a bad way? In a human way, he said. It's good. It suits you. The next morning, I woke up with a mild headache and one new voicemail. From Mom. Hey. I was just thinking about you. I saw a flyer for that photography workshop you mentioned, and I thought of how you used to take pictures of shadows and say they were more honest than faces. I miss seeing that side of you. Hope you're okay. No pressure to call back. I stared at my phone. She remembered that. She remembered that. Back in high school, I went through a phase of photographing only shadows. Street lamps. Hands. The edge of my own jaw on the wall. I called it Light's Confession. I never thought anyone really noticed. But she did. That afternoon, I went to her house with a framed photo I dug up from an old hard drive. One of my best, two overlapping shadows on a sidewalk, holding hands. You couldn't see faces, but it was unmistakably intimate. She opened the door in her gardening gloves. I held out the frame. For you. She looked down. Her lips parted slightly. Oh, she said softly. You still have this. I never really got rid of any of them. I just stopped showing them. She took the frame. It's beautiful. It always was. We stood in silence. Then she gestured me in. The living room hadn't changed. Same couch. Same weirdly tall lamp in the corner. But the energy felt different. Or maybe I did. She set the photo on the mantel. "I've been thinking," she said, "about how many versions of you I've missed because I thought I already knew you." I sat down slowly. "I didn't make it easy." "That doesn't matter," she said. "What matters is you're still here. Still showing up." I felt something tight in my chest loosen. "I'm trying," I said. "I see that." She brought out tea. We talked about her garden. My job. Nothing big. Just being in the same room without an elephant or a photo gallery between us. Before I left, she asked, "Have you thought about going back to photography?" I blinked. Maybe. I don't know if I'm still good. Start by being curious again. Not good. I nodded. That night, I opened my notes app again. Maybe we don't outgrow parts of ourselves. Maybe we just hide them until someone reminds us they're still beautiful. Showing up is an act of love. Even if you're late. Healing isn't always a clean arc. Sometimes it sings terribly in a bar and hands your mother a picture of light. I took a deep breath. And then I opened my camera app. Took a picture of the lamp in the corner. My shadow stretched across the wall. Still here. Still seeing. I signed up for the workshop. Not because I thought I had something to prove, or because I expected it to change my life. I just missed holding a camera without a deadline. Missed framing something without needing to post it. Missed seeing, period. The class met once a week in a dusty studio on the third floor of a community center that smelled like linoleum and fluorescent lights. There were 6 of us, 1 retired teacher, 2 college kids, a mother of 3, and a guy named Leon who spoke only when critiquing someone else's work and always used the word visceral. Our instructor, Nadia, had tattoos on both arms and a way of saying him that made you rethink your whole artistic direction. I liked her immediately. We started with exercises: light, texture, motion. We had to shoot 30 frames of the same object from different angles. I picked a cracked ceramic mug. By frame 12, I was weirdly emotional about it. "Everything you photograph is a self-portrait," Nadia said. "Even when it's not of you." I wrote that down. That same week, I stopped by Mom's after class. She was in the kitchen, making tea, humming to herself. "You look tired," she said, handing me a mug. "I am. But the good kind. Like muscles after a workout. Except it's my brain." "Still doing the workshop?" "Yep. I shot 30 photos of a cup." "Sounds thrilling." It kind of was. She smiled. "I found a box of your old prints, by the way. In the garage. Want them?" My heart skipped. She returned with a shoebox. Inside, dozens of 4x6 prints from years ago. Teenager me, with more confidence than skill. Photos of alleyways. My own hand. Dad's garden. A blurry shot of Clara crying with laughter. I sat down on the floor. Spread them out like tarot cards. "Wow," I whispered. "These are bad." "They're you," she said. The next class, Nadia assigned something harder. Documents someone close to you. But not how they want to be seen, how you see them. Truthfully. Gently. Fully. I panicked for a full day. Then I asked Mom. She agreed. But only if she could clean the kitchen first. I shot her hands first, flour dusted from baking. Then her garden boots by the back door. Her laugh in profile while talking to the cat. A cracked coffee mug. The way she touches the kitchen counter when thinking. At the end of the week, I showed her the photos. She stared at the screen, silent. Then she blinked fast. "I didn't know I looked like that." "You do." When no one's watching. She touched her collarbone. You made me look real. You are. She looked at me. Something unspoken passed between us. At the next class, I presented the series. Nadia flipped through them slowly. Someone you love? She asked. My mom. She looks held. Without being posed. She's learning how to be seen. Nadia smiled. Maybe so are you. That night, I posted one of the images online. Just one. No caption. No filter. Within an hour, Mom texted. That's my elbow. You made it famous. I laughed out loud. And replied. It deserved the spotlight. Later, I added a note to my journal. The people who love you might not always understand. But sometimes, they let you see them. That's another kind of love. Healing isn't just being forgiven. It's forgiving yourself for taking so long to arrive. I think I'm starting to recognize myself. In photos. In reflections. In peace. And just like that, I knew I was ready for the next step. Even if I didn't know what it looked like yet. A week after the photo assignment, Nadia asked us to write about the images we'd made. Not describe them, write about them. What they meant. Why we chose what we did. How they reflected us, whether we meant it or not. Most people groaned. I didn't. Words had been my hiding place long before I ever picked up a camera. They were how I circled the things I couldn't name directly, how I apologized without saying sorry, how I said I missed someone without sending the message. Writing was a confession booth without a priest. I wrote about my mom's hands. How they were always in motion. Stirring, folding, smoothing. Not the kind of hands that cupped your face and said I love you outright, but the kind that packed your lunch and wiped your counters and knew which drawer the band-aids were in. I wrote about what it felt like to be known in fragments. And what it meant to put them back together. On Saturday, I read it aloud to the class. My voice shook on the last paragraph. No one clapped. Nadia didn't say good job. She just nodded and said, that's it. That's photography. I walked home in the rain. Didn't use an umbrella. Didn't feel cold. When I got back, I had a voicemail. Mom. Hey. I was wondering if you'd like to come by tomorrow. I made the lemon cake again. No occasion. Just, felt like a lemon day. I smiled. Saved the message. Pressed play again. Sunday afternoon, we sat on the patio. The garden was in its late season stage, a little wild, a little proud. Tomatoes clung to tired vines. Basil had bolted. Everything smelled like sun-warmed dirt and fading things. She brought out the cake. We ate in silence for a while. Then she said, I saw the photo you posted. Oh. I read the comments too. People really liked it. Yeah. I guess they saw something in it. I did too, she said. But more importantly, I saw you. I looked at her. I think for a long time I didn't know how to look for you, she said. I saw the you that called on Sundays and brought wine to holidays and forgot birthdays. But I didn't see the you that writes and wonders and aches. My eyes burned. I didn't show that part, I whispered. I wish you had, she said. But I understand why you didn't. She reached out and covered my hand. I want to see it now. If you'll let me. I nodded. Swallowed hard. That evening, I stayed late. She pulled out old photo albums. Ones I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. Baby pictures. First day of school. Me in a Halloween costume I swore I hated but secretly loved. She laughed at all the wrong things. I laughed at all the right ones. Then she handed me a small envelope. Inside, 2 Polaroids of her. One from when she was around my age. One more recent. Add them to your collection, she said. Maybe one day someone else will find them and think, this person lived fully. I already think that, I said. She looked down. Smiled. That night, I sat on my floor, photos spread out around me like a deck of memory. I added the two of her to the Now folder on my phone. Then I opened notes. You don't just become yourself once. You arrive, leave, forget, remember. Again and again. Sometimes forgiveness is letting yourself be loved by someone who saw you wrong and wants to try again. I think I'm finally letting her try. And letting myself try too. And for the first time in a long time, I slept without dreaming. 2 months after the phone incident, I gave a short presentation at the end-of-term photo showcase. Our class gathered in a low-lit room that smelled like printer ink and nervous sweat. Our work was pinned to the walls. Our names typed on little paper cards beneath them. I showed 6 prints. All black and white. All of Mom. Hands, shadows, her garden boots, the reflection in the kitchen window, her elbow resting on the table, her laughing at something I didn't catch. I stood next to them in silence while people wandered past. One older woman stopped and said, "You must love her very much." I nodded. "I'm learning how." She smiled like she understood. Maybe she did. After the showcase, I walked home. The streetlights hummed above me like they always had, but something felt different. Like the world hadn't changed, but I had finally let it reach me. At home, I opened the Notes app one last time. Sometimes the thing you're most afraid of showing is the thing that brings you home. Healing doesn't make you invincible. It just lets you stay soft without disappearing. This version of me isn't perfect. But I trust him more than any version before. I hit save. Closed the app. Closed my eyes. The next morning, I drove to Mom's. She had mentioned something about reorganizing the garage. A not-so-subtle way of saying, "Come by. We're not done yet." She was in the driveway when I arrived, dragging out a plastic bin labeled Zmaz stuff, maybe. "You came," she said. "I figured I owed you some manual labor." "You owe me nothing. But you can still help." We worked in the sun, surrounded by spiders, dust, and boxes of tangled string lights that no longer worked but no one had the heart to throw away. Halfway through, she handed me a small, flat box. "I found this in the attic," she said. "It's yours." I opened it. Inside, an old disposable camera. Still undeveloped. "I think it's from your high school trip to Montreal," she said. "You never got it printed." I turned it in my hands. "Think there's anything good on here?" "Only one way to find out." A few days later, I picked up the prints from the 1-hour Photoshop that miraculously still existed. 12 images. Some blurry. Some overexposed. All filled with the kind of accidental beauty that only film can capture. One photo made me stop, a shot of me and Clara, laughing, our arms slung over each other's shoulders, someone else's thumb in the frame. I looked so whole. I scanned the photo. Sent it to Clara. "You were right. I was annoying and sentimental. Still am." She replied. "Good. Stay that way. It suits you." That weekend, I framed the photo. Hung it next to the one of Mom's elbow. Side by side. History and recovery. Memory and intention. I stood back. Looked at them. And, without meaning to, smiled. On Sunday, Mom texted. "I think the basil's coming back. Want to see?" I did. No dramatic ending. No fireworks. Just a quiet life, being lived. With fewer secrets. With more light. And one fully reset phone.